What's happening, everybody? Happy Thanksgiving. Hope everybody's ready for the big turkey day. And I hope you guys are ready for a little bit of casting as well. We got some fun stuff to do today. I think Philip actually called what these things are. So my buddy Dan over at Stainless Bottle Stoppers, he likes to send out random things every once in a while, as well as some bottle stoppers and different stuff. But he sent these little doohickeys out, and I do think that they are whatever Philip was talking about. There's some sort of thing that his daughter uses. I think a food cap thing. I don't know. Might be whatever Philip said. So kind of funky. He was saving these things up and thought we could try them out. Now I will say, I'm going to switch to this other little camera here. These are like super smooth and crazy, so they're not going to be a very good bond. And I'm not sure what kind of plastic this is, but you guys know that smooth surfaces and certain plastics aren't necessarily the greatest bond on the planet. But what I'm going to do, what I found, and it really kind of bums me out a little bit about this, but I've mentioned it before. I've found that epoxies tend to stick to things better than Alumalite Clear Slow. Kind of sucks because I really like Clear Slow better for all of the benefits that it has, but that's cool, not a big deal. We'll use a little bit of Amazing Clear Cast Plus. It's epoxy, and the nice thing about Amazing Clear Cast Plus is it has UV inhibitors, so we're going to go for something that's transparent, maybe even clear. So it's a good choice to go, to go with for something like that. That way you can, keep that yellowing from happening. That's what the UV inhibitors do. Sunlight will yellow your resin, and it even with this stuff, it has inhibitors in it. Eventually it's going to yellow, most likely, but I think it takes a lot longer. I was doing a little bit of a test with Amazing Clearcast Plus. I made a gear shift knob in my truck, and it's been in my truck that doesn't ever see a garage. It's out all day long. Sunlight's always hitting it. That thing hasn't yellowed yet, which is mind-boggling. If I would have made that same gear shift knob, it's like a hybrid burl with clear resin. If I would have made that with Alumalite Clear Slow, guaranteed that thing would be yellow at this point. And I even have things that haven't seen the light of day, just to kind of give you guys an idea. Hold on. I got it right here. I got one of these guys right here. Check this out. I mean, that thing's yellow. It's still clear, but it's yellow for sure, and it used to be clear. This was made with a Alumalite Clear Slow, and this hasn't ever left my shop. All right, so Resins Yellow over time, all of them do. Some people say that there are a couple. I don't know any that are actually worth turning that don't yellow, and I don't even know if their claims are even true because I don't know of any. And a lot of people that I've talked to that I kind of trust are kind of like, yeah, there's no such thing as a non-yellowing resin, basically. Maybe there are a couple of formulas out there, but like I said, none of the ones that we use for turning and these types of applications that I know of. So anyway, either way, just wanted to kind of share a little bit of info with you. I still really love Alumalite Clear Slow. It's just, for like pens and stuff, you're going to get a long time out of them unless you like leave it on your dashboard or something like that before they yellow. So I still use it. It's not a big deal. But if you need something where you want extra protection, this Amazing Clearcast Plus works pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. There's other ones that have inhibitors in them. I don't know what the length of time or testing, and I think there's no body of information or testing that is actually scientific or reliable that will tell you which one will last the longest. But so far I've been pretty happy with that one. So anyway, what we're going to do is a couple of handles today. This is going to be kind of a quick one. We're just going to cast a couple of these. There's not going to be a lot going on. We're going to cast them at the same time. So I have a ton of stuff to do. The launch has gone well with the discount and all that stuff. And then I'm also having Black Friday sales all weekend. So for anybody that's looking to get anything on my website, be looking, sign up for my email newsletter, but also, what was I going to say? Follow me on social media, on Instagram and Facebook. We're going to post what's going on. And there's going to be a different deal. So I'm already having a sale for 15% off. So this will give you guys a clue it's going to be better than that each day, whatever, and there's going to be some different discounts Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So be looking on my website for that kind of stuff. Good discounts, deep discounts going on for Black Friday. This is the first time I've really hit it off on Black Friday. So these are what we got. We got all kinds of colors of these guys, and basically I'm just going to pop them in these tubes and see what happens. Now we can maybe add a little bit of effects. One thing that I was thinking would be cool is to add a little bit of the micro Starlight glitter. That just adds some funky effects. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We can obviously just add like a little bit of dye or whatever, or some pearl powders or whatever, but I kind of want to keep it a little bit clear. And now I have a project. So next week's live stream, what I'm going to do is we're going to turn a stopper handle, but it's going to be a little bit of a different type of a stopper. So stainless bottle stoppers just came out with larger. Let me actually get one of these guys. Let me switch to this camera view, the overhead. So these are the normal bottle stopper type things for just a normal wine stopper. So let me pull one of these guys out. That's the normal size. They came out with liquor bottle stoppers. So they're kind of initially we're talking like, calling them like whiskey stoppers, but we got a bigger one so that you can stop up your, larger liquor bottles. And so it's kind of cool because you got a bigger thing down there, and, on a liquor bottle, you can make a bigger handle or, bigger like stopper handle kind of thing. And so I actually did this doing a little bit of testing for them. Look at that thing. Holy cow. Pretty happy with how that turned out, but the focus is on this. So next week, what I'm going to do is we're going to turn one of these guys into a whiskey or, whatever liquor bottle stopper handle kind of thing. So I haven't gotten on the lathe for so long that I'm kind of taking a day for myself. I'm going to get on the lathe next week. And I thought this would be a perfect project. So hopefully they stay together when we turn them. That's, we'll have to see. That'll also be kind of a test to see if these little cap things work. So it should be kind of fun. So let's see what's going on here. So I don't know if you guys saw my shirt. We'll run for, what does it say? Oh, we'll run for pie. I forgot what it said. I'm going to do a 5K race thing tomorrow. It's actually virtual. So what we're going to do is we're going to go hiking. But we're going to do 5K. It's going to be 3 miles, 3.1. And it'll be pretty cool. We didn't really want to have to get down there and do all the hubbub with everybody. And they gave you a virtual option. So I'm like, why don't we go in the hills and do a hike? Because I'd rather do that anyway. I don't want to run. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right. So who was here first? That's what I want to see real quick. Dominic was here, and then followed by Jim. Philip and Eric were right there. Mike McEwen. Nice. Canadians already had Thanksgiving, so you guys are not going to be celebrating that today. Hopefully your Canadian Thanksgiving was good. When is that? Is that like in October or something? So I got a couple of other little announcements. Like I said, keep your eyes peeled because I'm going to have some seriously gigantic discounts going on this weekend. I really pulled out all stops. I've been really having a good time with the 15% off, and that's still on. There's going to be bigger discounts on certain things each day. We're having a kind of a different sale each day. So be watching my social media to see what things are on super discount, basically, all weekend. And then there's also a couple other things. So Turner's Warehouse is going all out as well. I don't even know. They've been throwing out emails and doing all kinds of stuff on social media. I can't even keep up. They got a ton of stuff. So be watching their social media or sign up for their email. They got a lot of stuff on sale. And if you guys weren't here, I think I mentioned this last week. Turner's Warehouse. So you know how there's a lot of shipping containers like boats sitting in harbors and stuff like that right now. And I was kind of asking Chad, I'm like, are you guys kind of screwed on inventory or anything? He's like, no, actually last year we kind of learned our lesson. We ordered everything really early, so they are fully stocked up on pretty much everything. So I know they got resin on sale and their molds. The Maker Select ones are on super discount. Lathes are on sale with chucks thrown in and who knows. Everything's going. So follow them. And then, like I said, the stainless bottle stoppers, these whiskey or I guess liquor stoppers are on their website now. So they are ready to rock. I got links all over the place that I'm going to drop on stainless bottle stoppers. So bear with me here. They got a lot of things going on. So here's the link if you want to pick up the bigger stoppers and make a liquor stopper thing. They also came out with, we were kind of talking, Dan and I and a few other people, they also came out with a handy dandy little bushing kit, they call it, but you can also just get this little box thing. And what it does is it separates your bushings that go with their universal mandrel, because the way this thing works, there's bushings that work with different kits. And so you can have all your little bushings and your little washers and all that kind of stuff kind of separated out. So they sent me the bushing kit and all that stuff, but it's pretty cool. You can make it whatever size you want. There's extra little tabs. Just kind of a nice thing. They also have the bushing kit where you can get all the bushings and everything. So different stuff like that. Just kind of a handy dandy thing. Not a bad stocking stuffer, I would say. Let's see here. So the bushing kit, that's also available on their website. I want to mention all this stuff because they got lots of stuff. Now, I don't have this, but one other thing that, and this was specifically something that I requested from them. So the bushings that work with, your different stoppers and all those kind of things. Let me just, for anybody that doesn't understand how this universal mandrel thing works, they have these bushings, and it's kind of like the same idea as pen kits, right? The bushing is what you turn down to. It matches the size of kits, and there's lots of different bushings that you can put on there. So it kind of makes it easier, you don't have to really worry about stuff or like take it off and hold it up and make sure you did it exactly the same size. They got these bushings that come on and off. The problem is if you put finishes on, then you can get finish, either CA finish, which that's not that big of a deal. You can just drop these things, they're metal. You can drop them in acetone and that'll clean it off. But that whiskey stopper that I made, this guy's got UV finish on it. That's what I used for the finish, and man, I'll tell you what, it looks fabulous. But the problem is UV finish does not, you can't just drop it in acetone, like it doesn't come off. And I was like, what would be really awesome is if you guys had some plastic bushing, some Delrin or whatever, that you could apply finishes or CA glue or whatever you need to do, and it'll just pop right off. So they've actually come out with a 13/16 bushing that's plastic, so you can do finishing and stuff. And like I said, that was like kind of a specific request from me, just because I ran into that issue with UV finish doing that one. So lots of different things, and those things are also up on their website if you want to snag one of those plastic bushings. Just wanted to mention all the goodies that are going on. There's lots of stuff, guys. So we got that. One other little thing that I wanted to mention on my website, I'm adding a new, it's going to be a temporary, like a limited edition holiday glitter blank. So that'll be dropping, I want to say on Sunday or Monday. I can't remember which day, but they're going to be dropping and they'll be available on my website. These are going to be limited time though, so keep your eyes peeled again for social media for these types of things, because I'm going to have lots of things going on for anybody that is looking to get stuff off of my website. All right. So, so many things going on. Let's see here. Now, last week we did some dye marbling effects, and I got some results. These are the bottoms of the blanks there. So, those things turned out pretty good. And this actually, I got it back to blue. We were going for a dark blue, and I thought it was like dark green, and it's really kind of more bluish, I would say. But kind of a greenish blue, I'd say, a dark green blue. But these things turned out pretty cool. I don't know, I really like so there's like kind of a camo color green, obviously this lime green, and then we have this kind of dark, it's kind of really like a blue, like a dark blue green. But pretty cool. The pen blanks turned out really good. I'm really happy with these. So not too bad. And then here's we were doing different pours with, we did a dirty pour for these guys. And so the first one, it looks like it might have bled a little bit, or we have a little bit more of, I can't remember exactly which colors we had. It's tough. This is the reason why I don't love doing vertical pours, because unless you turn into it, there's no way to know what's actually going on inside. But these guys have you can see some color separations going on, and so I think that these two definitely have some striations going on that are going to make these look amazing. This one I'm a little bit more worried about. I started pouring if you guys remember, or if you didn't see, we dumped all 3 colors into one cup, and that gives you, they call it a dirty pour. That way you can pour all the colors at once without having to do like 1 cup at a time and all that. But I started picking up the tubes. The first one I just dumped in, and one of the problems I have with vertical is it's got a long way to just drop if you just pour it down to the bottom of the tube. But if you hold up that tube and kind of let it trickle down the side, you get a little bit, you're going to keep it from bleeding more. Now you can also just, play with the timing of it, and all that kind of stuff. But I would say if any of them bled a little bit more, it would be this one. But there are separations in here. You can definitely see, little separations, but it's hard to tell what's on the inside. So vertical pours are a little bit, I don't know. For me, I'd rather just pour, like into a trough kind of thing, because you can cut them up and see what's going on. Definitely helps a lot more when you're selling blanks, because it's hard to show people unless you turn into them. Hard to show people what the blank actually is, and the other problem with it is you don't know. You may make one, turn it, and it looks good, but every other one that you make after that, you have no clue what's going on inside. So it's kind of tough. I always kind of stayed away from those. I'm gonna put these guys back. This actually goes here. So I just want to get all this stuff out of my way so that we can get down and dirty with these things. All right, so let's do a little bit of casting. What do you guys say? Yeah, those things, I'm pretty happy. They turned out pretty good. Let's see here. Oh, thanks, Dave. Yeah, I'm really happy with that website too. I think I've already mentioned it on here, but not to say that my old one was terrible or anything like that. It was fine, but I'm pretty happy on the front end. I think it's pretty, I don't know, blaringly in your face. If you want glitter blanks, there's a picture of them and you just click it so you can go there. If you want team color blanks, that's a little easier. I think it's going to be a little easier to navigate. One of the other things that I don't think I really mentioned is all like the shipping policies. I don't know, those types of things. If you're curious how things work, I think it'll save people from having to, send me an email to ask, like, how does shipping work? What does this all mean? That's all there under the About, I think, tab, or Info tab is what it's called. There's an easy contact form, all that kind of stuff. Plus all the it's a Shopify store, so you get all those automatic emails, like when things ship, when it's like being delivered, all that kind of stuff. Love all that. And then for me on the back end, it's really actually, that's where I love it, because it's actually much easier to do the shipping and all kinds of different things. I even ran into some issues where I needed to do refunds for people that didn't see that there was a sale going on. Well, oh, speaking of the sale, I ditched the code. It's all automatic with the 15% now. So if you just check out, it automatically does that. You don't have to enter a code. People were not entering it. I'm like, I don't want to have to refund every one of these sales, even though there's a pop-up and all kinds of stuff going on. But anyway, so pretty happy with it. So thanks, Dave. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, so what are you guys all doing for Thanksgiving? I got a couple questions for you, and I'm going to try and kind of, peek my eyes to the chat. But I wanted to know if, like what you guys are doing, if you're doing anything kind of special, or do you have any special things that you're looking to buy for like the Black Friday sales, the big weekend of sales? And it could be anything, but probably more focused on like, is there any like resin casting stuff that you're looking to pick up, or turning tools, or anything like that? Anything for the shop, or stuff that you're doing, crafting, making, all that kind of stuff? Is there something that you're like ready to pounce on this weekend? One thing that I'm actually going to be doing is the amazing mold maker. Oh, so that was the other announcement I got. Alumalite's having some massively gigantic sales. So I want to say, and keep your eyes peeled again for my social media on that, because there's going to be, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not, I hope I'm not let me look something up. I don't want to misspeak. They are doing, yeah. So Alumalite is having, hold it, wait for it, sit down if you're a little bit, you get a little queasy with some crazy information. On Friday, they are having 25% off. Okay, that's huge. So be looking for that. And actually, if you use my links, I even get, somehow they're managing to give you guys a huge, gigantic discount, and we still get some sort of a referral bonus. I don't know how they're affording that. But so if you use my link to go and purchase stuff, Friday is the day. And the code is Friday. So that's even easier. So be looking for that. Alumalite's having massive discount. I'm actually going to be picking up, I'm going to use that to pick up some amazing mold maker. One thing that I have some things, I'm actually going to start selling some molds. I want to sell some of the faux burl molds. So don't quote me on this yet. We're still working out the details and stuff, but I'm kind of planning on doing that. And I might even be wholesaling them to Turner's Warehouse. But I think I'm going to use this stuff. I think it's a perfect, mold or silicone to do something like that. And it's so quick. But one of the things that I was actually on the fence about using this, I was going to use the plat because I really like that. And the reason for that is because it's a platinum-based, platinum cure, whatever they call it. There's tin and there's platinum, and tin is not particularly awesome with epoxies. They really tend to damage tin cure silicone. But this stuff is actually platinum. I was like, holy cow, okay. So it'll work great with any resin. And so I think I might go with that. Plus it's super fast. So I'm looking to buy some, gallons of that stuff on Friday. That should be kind of fun. Good user experience. Yeah, that's definitely what it is. Definitely what it hopefully is anyway. I haven't heard any bad feedback on the website yet, so that's good. Boss found you. Oh no. Oh no. Don't let the boss find you. Let's see here. All right. Oh, Eric's getting a vacuum chamber. Yeah, that's a good one. Very good one. First set of Easy Wood tools. Nice. Yeah, they're on sale for 15% off at Turner's Warehouse. And again, if you use my link, I don't know if they're going to give me a discount. So I'm going to say don't use my links to Turner's Warehouse just for this weekend. Just go, because I don't want to, they're already discounting stuff. I don't know how Alumalite's affording that stuff, but that's cool. They are, man, I'll tell you what, if you have not used them for resin with the negative rate cutters, I mean, you're really missing out. I really think it's the best way to go. Let's see. Going to the Atlantis. Nice, that's cool. Wait, the Atlantis. You're talking about the Atlantis in Reno? You in Reno? All right, first thing we need to do is spray the heck out of these things with mold release. I don't know if it'll catch me on camera. I don't know if I'll be able to be on camera for this. I'm gonna douse the heck out of it. Again, epoxies tend to be, I don't know, super close up. Yeah, I think this will work. Epoxies tend to be stickier, so that also applies to molds. So you really want to make sure you coat, each side of this. So it doesn't need to be dripping, but you need to, make sure that you're giving it a good coating. I'm going to flip it, get the bottom good. Hopefully you can kind of see that. And I'm using this is for urethanes, but it works for epoxies too. Another one that you can use that's pretty good is this Alumalite's universal mold release. It works pretty good. I'm actually happy with it, but I haven't done enough testing, and I don't want to. I know that this other one works fine for Amazing Clearcast, so I'm just going to go with it on this one. I need to do some more testing with that universal. One thing I found is it's not as greasy as this stuff, and then there's other ones that are even worse. That literally it's like spraying cooking spray in there. It's like oil. Don't like that too much. This stuff is kind of greasy a little bit, but it seems to work with every resin I've thrown at it so far. And then these are the Turner's Warehouse little silicone plugs. They are fabulous. If you don't have these things and you cast in pipes, I'm telling you, game changer. Turner's Warehouse, they got them. Okay, so let's go back to this view. All right, so again, we're going to be using Amazing Clearcast Plus. I guess I should do it this way. I really like this stuff. It's been working really good, and again, it's got the UV inhibitors in it, so really good for clear things. Now, let's see here. Oh, you are up in Reno. Nice. Yeah, we love the Atlantis. When the air races go on, we always stay there. They got a really good hot tub. So, and we live in Gardnerville, so like driving an hour to go to the air races just isn't really, it's a good excuse to just stay in Reno, you know? And so we always stay at the Atlantis. We want to try the Peppermill sometime. I've never even walked inside there. All right, so we got these are 2-inch PVC pipes, and let me do a little bit of calculating. I don't know if this is long enough. I think it is. See how tall we got. So again, we're going to measure from the top of this little plug thing. So it's about 5 inches is about how long we're going. I don't need to make a 5-inch tall blank even for these. They're going to be, you know, like stoppers, big ones, but it doesn't need to be gigantic. But I'm going to estimate, I'm going to go with the 5 inches tall. Just to estimate how much resin we need. So it's 5 inches tall and it's a 2-inch diameter. All right, so what we're going to do here is do a little bit of calculating. Hopefully I won't screw it up. If you guys need to calculate how much resin to use, Alumalite's got a volume calculator or a whatever. Volume. Okay. I'll drop a link to that. It can be kind of handy. It's also kind of weird because it's not particularly awesome the way they have it set up, but you guys will kind of get the gist. And they also have instructions to just do it with a calculator rather than using their online thing. So let me just pi radius squared height times, yeah, okay. So what we're doing is we're doing pi r squared. So pi 3.14 times the radius, which is just 1 squared. Times the height. All right, so it's basically just 3.14 times 5. 3.14 times 5. All right, now we're going to multiply that by 0.554. That gives me 8.7. And then what I do is I multiply it by 29 to turn it into grams. Now this is a weight measurement, but what I've found is you can intermix, you know, so you can flip-flop back basically between grams and not ounces, what's the other one, and like liters, milliliters. So grams and milliliters seem to work pretty well, so I can just estimate based on how much weight it was. I just estimate, you know, turn it into, so it's 200, so this calculation per pipe, we're looking at about 250 grams each. So 500 total. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mix up 500 milliliters of resin. All right, so hopefully that kind of made sense. I know it's kind of a weird, kind of quickly talking about this without really showing much, but we're going to do that. So, and the reason for that is usually I use Alumalite clear slow. You got to measure that by weight on the scale. This stuff is by volume. You need to mix it, you know, 1 to 1. So two equal parts in a cup, all right, by volume. 2 different ways of doing it. So always make sure when you're casting something and you pick up, you know, your resin, make sure that you read, you know, the directions. It'll say, you know, on the mix ratio, all the Alumalite ones have on the label mix ratio, and it says 1 to 1 by volume. Right there, see, right there, 1 to 1 by volume. You always want to make sure you read that. Let's see, this one says, good, yeah, 1 to 1 by weight, okay? So if it's by weight, you need a scale. If it's by volume, you just need to do whatever the parts are, and they can come in 1 to 1, 2 to 1. I've seen 5 to 2, weird ones, that's always fun. 1 to 1 is great. I love that the best. Makes calculating quite easy. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for our, oh, I hate these cups. They don't have, we're going to go to a different cup because those cups are stupid. Okay. So we have our milliliters on this side. So we need 500 total. We need 250 of part A, or, you know, whatever, one side, and then we'll fill it up to 500. So what I'm going to do is I like to just put a little bit of a mark at the 2 spots that I need. So 250 and 500. Okay? And that should be enough resin. Now, what I'm going to do also, like I said, I want to throw in a little bit of my micro Starlight glitter, which is right here. This stuff is like super fine chunks, super fine particles. Whoa, it's bouncing. Of little kind of colorful things, little dots, little specks of light, a little glitter. So we're going to add a little bit of that to it. So I'm going to mix it all up, and then we're just going to do both of these at once. Like I said, today is going to be kind of a quickie. I got blanks to cut up. I got blanks to pour. I got to be ready for these sales. You know, I don't want you guys being like, hey, where's all the blanks? All right. So first things first, I'm going to write some notes down. Today is 11/24. We're doing, I don't know what to call these. I just called them funky plastic. Funky plastic things. And we're going to do number one. I guess there's only one of them, but whatever. We're going to call it number one. We're going to do handle blanks. We're doing 2-inch PVC pipes for the mold. I like to just give a little description so I know what I'm doing here. What mold I used, and then we're going to use Amazing Clear Cast Plus. Amazing Clear Cast Plus. For the resin, so I always know what I'm doing there. Now each one is going to be, I'm also going to write 5-inch tall pours. That was my estimate. So each tube equals 250 grams / milliliters. So we're doing 2 PVC pipes. All right, so we're going to mix up 250 times 2, and then we're going to add, so I think we're just going to go with clear because these things have enough color in them, you know? What do you guys think? I mean, the other way to go, if you got a bunch of color that you're slamming in, you know, like dropping into the resin, I usually go for either like black, which the problem is black usually ends up taking over everything, or white is a little bit better. But I usually like just doing transparent, especially since these things have like funky shapes going on in here, you know? So I think clear is the way to go. When we turn into these things, we should get some even more weird kind of shapes and funky things going on. So that's going to be what we're going to do today, I think. Let's see here. Ah, Lauren's got a Harbor Freight mini lathe. Sweet, early Christmas present. Well, that's the way to do it. That is really a good way to go, because otherwise you'd be waiting until, you know, next year basically to get going. So, and then we're going to add a little bit of micro Starlight. I'm going to give you guys a little bit, everybody that's watching here, I'm going to give you a little hint. This micro Starlight is available on my website, but a little birdie told me that it would probably behoove you to not go out and buy this today, but keep an eye on my email newsletters as well as my social media, because these may go on sale, okay? So I'm just going to give you, I don't want somebody to go out and buy this stuff because they saw me using it today. They go buy it today, and then a few days later, they could have got an even better deal. Now, it is on sale for 15% off right now, but it's going to be even better. I'm just going to let you know right now, okay? So keep your eyes peeled for that. All right, so a little bit of micro Starlight now. One other thing that we could do here is, let me just think about something here. One thing that would be fun, one issue that we have is we're using this, it's got a 40-minute working time, something like that, 30 to 40. So the problem is I don't want to wait for the proper time to pour, for adding color or other, glitters and stuff. This stuff is so light that it's going to be stuck in place in the Amazing Clear Cast. We don't need to worry about it floating or sinking or doing anything. So I think we're just going to stick with that. We could add just a little bit of dye, but I think we're best off just kind of going with this. I think we'll get the best blanks. Like I said, because I don't really have, we can't sit around waiting for this stuff to be ready to pour. All right. So let's open this stuff up. I think they are, I'm pretty sure they are the baby food squeeze things. Dan over Stainless Bottle Stopper sent these to me. I don't know what he told me that they had to do with something with his baby's food, and I was like, okay, whatever. I don't care what it is. He's been saving them for me. He always saves up weird things to cast. He also sent me some more of the aluminum spiral things, so I'll probably make some blanks with that stuff. All right, so always make sure, don't try to read, the line from standing above it. And actually, I need to turn on the double cam so you can kind of see what I'm doing. That's not the double cam. There it is. So up in the left-hand corner there. So don't try to read the line standing here. All right, you're not looking at it. You need to look at it. Get down. I know it's not very fun to do a squat and have to do this, but get down eye level with that line to make sure that you nailed the line. All right. Epoxies are usually fairly forgiving, especially if you're mixing up 500, milliliters or whatever this is. But still, I always tell people, be as accurate as possible when you're mixing and measuring and doing whatever you're doing. Try to eliminate the problems. Don't just say, well, it's good enough, because then if you have a problem, you don't know if maybe the mix ratio is off. But if you know for sure, you double checked and everything and your mix ratio was dead on, then if you run into an issue with something, you're like, well, I know it was perfect, so that's what I definitely recommend. Make sure that you try to be as good as possible with most of these things so that you can diagnose problems. I get emails all the time. People say, oh, it's still sticky, or it's, something's wrong. And I'm like, well, it's darn near impossible for me to diagnose what went wrong with your casting, because I don't know, how accurate you were when you measured. I don't know how well you mixed it. So it's tough for me to diagnose certain things unless it's just obvious. And so same goes for you. You're not going to know necessarily what caused the problem if you, kind of were just winging it, all the way through. Hell's Kitchen. Now, these came from somebody in Pennsylvania. So Dan over at Stainless Bottle Stoppers. I don't know exactly which town, but in the States, So the only thing that I would say that I don't love about Amazing Clearcast is it's super thick. I mean, it's almost like molasses, kind of. Not the most awesome, fun thing to mix. You got to kind of take your time and whatever, but it works pretty good. It's a pretty, and it turns well. This is the only drawback to this that I don't really like about it. I don't love the longer working time, but for what I use it for, it actually is helpful. Sometimes it is nice to have more working time, but if you're doing a lot of the things that I'm doing, suspending things or creating, colored swirls and stuff like that, then I'd much rather have a quick setting, resin, something that doesn't have a very long working time. 12 minutes for Alumalite Clear Slow, I find, is just perfect. There are very few things that I can't get done in that amount of time. And if that's the case, then you go to one of these other ones and just have to wait 40 minutes for it to be ready to pour. So always, make sure you give I always recommend, you got 40 minutes of working time here with these epoxies. Give it a good amount of stirring. You're probably going to want to stir it for like a good three minutes or something like that, is if you need to have like a timer just to kind of have an idea. But what you're looking for is to make sure that it's kind of clear down in there. You don't want like trails of haziness. And it's not an absolute guarantee, but one thing is, if it's still cloudy in there, you definitely haven't mixed it up enough, and you're going to end up with pockets of non-cured gooey, resin if you didn't mix it. So give it you can't overmix it, but you can definitely undermix it. Just, bear through it. If you need to, you can get one of them paddle mixer things, for your drill. It's not a bad way to go. It will create a ton of air bubbles though. And if you're not going to be pressurizing your resin, then you really got to mix. I mean talking like, driving Miss Daisy kind of slow like this. and it's going to take you a long time to get it all mixed up. You don't want to introduce air bubbles, but I'm going to use pressure, so I don't really care if I introduce them during the mixing and pouring process. Pressure pot will remove them for me. And always mix or scrape up, the sides. You don't want any part A or part B that was kind of clinging to the side. You don't want to just mix in the middle here. Get all of those parts, free and mixed together. Because what happens is if you pour it out and you had like this film of part A or part B or whatever that wasn't mixed together, when you're pouring it out, you could get a blob of just part A, and that's going to be a gooey blob in your blank. It's not going to cure. It needs to be mixed together nicely. So this is starting to get clear. Now there's a bunch of bubbles in there, so that's not what I'm, it is going to look a little hazy because of that. But you should, with good lighting, you should be able to really kind of see in your cup that it's really not, you can't see to the bottom, for sure. It's like hazy. Sure sign that you haven't mixed enough. Yo-yos, that would be cool. Yeah. Hey Frank, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. Frank just joined Patreon. New patron. Oh, and actually guys, for anybody that is a patron that's over on Patreon, I haven't changed it yet, but eventually I'm going to be changing. Like if you want to go to my Patreon page, I don't know how this will affect you guys, because most people will probably just like open an app or whatever. But if you're trying to go to my Patreon page specifically, which I think you're going to need to do that to, I'm guessing that's how everybody accesses, the live streams, the monthly live streams and all that stuff. It's going to be patreon.com/resinworksstudio soon, but I didn't want to change that. And then people are like, whoa, where'd your thing go? So currently it's still NV Woodworks, but that is going to change, so just be aware of that. And I'll send out a message, when I'm actually going to do that to all the patrons specifically. But just while I was thinking about it, I thought I'd throw that out there. And for anybody that wants to join, again, right now, it's patreon.com/NVWoodworks, but it will be changing quite soon. That's there's all these little things that if you change the name of your business or, whatever, there's a lot of things that you got to like change and do all this stuff, all your social media accounts. And man, I'm still finding things, and I still need to do, I'm going to work on the, doing a new set of graphics. So be looking for the live streams. So be looking for that next year. There's too much stuff going on right now. But get some new graphics going, hopefully a new computer soon. Would be pretty cool. Okay, so I think that's pretty good. I have mixed that to death. So basically all I'm going to do here, these have plenty, we're not really going to trap any air pockets or anything like that. So I'm going to just pick up a good mix of colors. All right, so we got, is there any other, we got a white one. And I'm just going to basically drop these guys in here. Almost lost one. And they're kind of random, so that's what I want. Let's put another little peach one. I want to make sure that I have kind of a full set. I don't think I had a purple in this one. Yellow, a red, orange. I have a peach. I don't think I had an orange one in here. Actually, I'm gonna do a little bit of changing around here. We don't need two of the same color sitting right next to each other. So there we have it. That's looking pretty good. That's ready. And then boom, boom. Oh, those two those two fell on each other. I don't want that. There we go. Okay, so we got two left. They'll just have to be saved for another day. All right, now what I'm going to do is just add a little, I'm going to add a tiny, tiny bit of micro Starlight glitter. So again, this stuff's on my website. Little birdie told me to keep your eyes peeled for my my social media blasts about sales, because this stuff's gonna be on even bigger discount this weekend. So I don't recommend going out and buying it from my website today. Keep your eyes peeled. All right. Now, what I've found, this stuff is super fine. You don't need you know, it's like little tiny things, and you might think, oh, I need to add a ton of this stuff. You don't. All this is going to do is add little tiny specks of like holographic light, right? And I've just found that you really just don't need a lot, especially if there's other things going on in there. So I think this is good. And I can kind of take a peek at it once I mix it in. But you can kind of see it's just adding a little bit of sparkle. Hopefully you can kind of see that. Let me put this down just a little bit. I don't know if you can see that very well, but it's holographic and they're like super fine little particles. So I'm going to mix this in. If you put too much in, then sometimes it can kind of obscure, you know, what's in there a little bit. Now in this case, I don't think it matters that much, but one for instance, yeah, I still have it. So for instance, and I haven't turned this yet, but I think I overdid it on this. All right, you can't see there's a little baby dragon guy in there, and the stuff is kind of taking over, like it clouded it, right? And I didn't add that much, so you just need a little bit if that's what you're going for on like some sort of a diorama or something where there's other things going on. Now, if what you're doing, there's other ways to use this stuff. One of my favorites actually is you just add this stuff to black dyed resin, and it looks like space. Like, it is awesome. So in that case, you want to add a lot. You know, you want to have lots of little specks of light because it's not totally see-through. So the more the better in that case. But for something like this, you know, just a little bit of glitter, just a little, you know, shimmering going on is really all you need to get a really cool looking effect. Just depends on what you're trying to accomplish with it, but little goes a long way. All right, so that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot going on with this. We got our resin mixed up. We got our glitter in. We got our tubes ready. So let's pour this stuff. I'm just going to kind of... There we go. You can see it, you know, this stuff's a little bit thick. Like thin honey. Kind of the viscosity of this stuff. Now there's going to be some air bubbles and things going on, so I recommend, and I'm going to do this in a second. I poured, you know, maybe about almost half in there right now. Maybe a little bit more, still kind of making its way down. But not a bad idea to just kind of turn it around a little bit. Try and get, you know, these air bubbles, these big air bubbles to kind of come up to the surface. If you have a gigantic air bubble, the pressure pot really can't handle that, and you're going to get weird stuff going on the sides. So the more that you can kind of, you know, free that stuff before you put it in the pressure pot or do anything, get these guys out of there. It's going to help in the long run. Help your pressure pot as much as possible. Now, another way to do this is you can just drop these little doohickeys down in, pour the resin in, kind of, you know, the tough thing is you have no clue how much necessarily, but, you know, maybe fill it about 3/4 or so. And then I could have just dropped these guys in, and I wouldn't have had as much issue with these kind of air bubbles and stuff. Another thing you can do is try to kind of move them around a little bit, you know, but that gets kind of tough. I think, you know, what we're going to do, let's do 2 tests. All right, so we're going to fill this one. We're going to pour it in. With the things in there, and then we're going to do one where we drop them in. Okay, so that's looking good. Most of these bubbles are all pretty small at this point. Kind of turn it around. Try not to spill it, obviously. Bubble right there. Get out. There we go. You can even tap it if you wanted, all that kind of stuff. And there's no rush because we're working with a resin that, you know, has a nice long open time. Now you probably won't have as much of an issue if you're using a resin that is thinner viscosity. You just don't have as much potential for like kind of larger air bubbles to form and stay in there. That is another advantage of a thinner viscosity resin. All right, so let's try this now. Pour this in here. I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to pour about I might have undershot the resin just a little bit on this. Usually I like to add a little extra just to make sure I'm not short, but not really that big of a deal. And you can just drop these guys in. Might need to kind of push them down a little bit. You shouldn't really get air bubbles being kind of trapped anywhere. You do it like this. This doesn't work so well when you got color swirls going on also. You know, that's definitely a limitation. Because you're going to kind of mix up your colors quite a bit, messing around, pushing these things down in. But there's really no, you know, there's maybe one or two little bubbles, but you're just not going to get as many bubbles in your resin that way. This might be a smarter way to go also if you don't have a pressure pot. Oh no, I think I did pretty good on the estimation of resin, actually. Yeah, I was kind of surprised. I guess it makes sense, but I was kind of surprised that, because I always used to, when I think about amounts of resin, I'm very good at estimating based on weight. Like that's what I've always used. You know, that's what I have the most experience with, and I'd always get kind of hung up on when I had switched to a volume resin. You know, one that's mixed by volume. I'd always be like, oh, I don't know how much I need, so I just way overshoot it. And then it kind of occurred to me that you can convert water, like it's the same thing, like so ounces and pounds. You can just it's like a 1-to-1 swap for that. And I thought, well, maybe it kind of works with grams and milliliters. I don't see why it wouldn't for that with resin, and it worked pretty darn good. You can kind of just, whichever way you're better at, if you switch to a different resin, it's not going to be that big of a deal. You can just kind of estimate using what you're used to and then convert it straight to either grams or milliliters, whichever one. All right, so I think we actually have one more kind of extra one. It didn't compact as much, but I'm spilling it. Can't really tilt it, guys. Very few bubbles in this, but I can see. And this one settled down quite a bit as well. There's not really any in this either, but we'll just see if there's any, we can kind of look at it. I'm going to mark, whoa, slippery. I'm going to mark this tube and say, what am I going to do? I'm just going to write bubbles on this tube, and that way I'll know which one is which. So this was the first one we poured. Actually, that's not a bad way to do it too. First pour. Might be a few days before I actually get back to these things. All right, so we're ready to go. If you could look up on the screen there. I'm just going to pop these guys both in the pressure pot. In fact, yeah, that's fine. Pop them in the pressure pot. And then apply our pressure. I'm going to take that up to 70 psi. My pressure pots have a max psi rating of 80 psi. I just go up to 70, that's fine. But whatever your pressure pot, if you're using one, just make sure you don't go over whatever the max is for your pressure pot. You don't want somehow the metal to get damaged and then fail, because then it's going to kind of want to explode. Just make sure you're staying within the limits and everything will be good. Put this up there. All right. I'm just going to clean off my stir stick really quick. I like to, these are just, a lot of people always ask, where do you get your stir sticks? And I just cut these. It's like I want to say like a 3/32 piece of HDPE sheet stock. And I just cut whatever sizes I want. So they work great. I like to wipe them off after each pour, just so I don't, just a lot of times I'm using dyes and things, and so I don't want to contaminate things, and I just want to make sure it's clean. You can just kind of set it to the side and then kind of peel off the resin after it's hardened, but it doesn't all come off, you know, perfectly every time, and so it's so much easier just to wipe it off while it's still wet. Then you don't even have to worry about anything, and it's ready to go for the next one without having to worry about any contaminations. And I just take a little acetone. You could use denatured alcohol and just kind of wipe it off. That'll get all the resin off, any dyes, any of that junk, and you're ready to go. So pretty simple. Let's see. Somebody's asking. Oh yeah, asking about, what was the question? Where was the question at? Oh, if you can only get one or the other. Yeah, you can't really get by with one or the other. If you're doing resin casting, you're not doing stabilizing, then you want to get a pressure pot. If you're doing stabilizing, you're going to need to get a vacuum chamber. So there are, I'm not even going to go there. I highly recommend just get one of each. If you're going to do all that stuff, do one of each. There are stabilizing companies out there. If you know, and some people will do stabilizing for you. I don't know offhand who does all that stuff, but if it's something like that, I mean, it might be cheaper if you're not doing that much of it to just have the stabilizing done by someone else. If you're doing more casting in that case. If you're going to be doing more stabilizing, then you might be able to have other people cast stuff for you. I don't know. But if you want to do all of it, then you're definitely going to want both. And the reason is there's a couple problems with trying to use vacuum for, because in theory, you can use vacuum. And some people actually do use vacuum for resin casting. The problem is, especially if you're using a resin like Alumalite Clear Slow or anything else that's, you know, got a pretty quick working time, you're not going to get all the bubbles out before it sets up. And so the way that vacuum works, it expands air bubbles. So it turns, and this is one of the other reasons why I just can't stand using it. It literally turns, so you got, you know, in that pipe, I filled it to the top, right? When you put it under vacuum, it's going to start expanding and foaming up. Basically, it looks like it's foaming up, but it's what's happening is air bubbles are expanding in there. It foams up and it's going to just probably go out of your mold. And so it's just a sticky mess. But if I was using Alumalite Clear Slow, it wouldn't actually get all the bubbles out before it started setting up. So it's just not worth it for a fast setting resin. Now the other issue that you run into, you're still not going to get away with the foaming problem, which is just kind of a nightmare. But some resins have, you know, some chemicals in them that when you put them under vacuum, they actually boil. So it actually physically is boiling in there, and it'll set up faster. And so there's just a lot of issues with using vacuum. And like I said, it's a very slow process. It foams and it's just not long enough most of the time. And sometimes it can affect your resins. With pressure, you put it in there and it acts immediately. So you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. It's not going to foam. It's not going to do anything, because all it's doing is collapsing those bubbles. It's shrinking them. And once it converts from a liquid to a solid, those bubbles are effectively just literally gone. So pressure is good for casting. Stabilizing is what you need to do though, because what you're doing with stabilizing is sucking all the air out, keeping it under vacuum, and it's submerged in a liquid. And when you reintroduce the pressure, the atmospheric pressure, it forces, you know, because it's basically surrounded by atmospheric pressure. When you release that valve, it's going to force all that liquid into the cellular structure of the piece of wood or whatever it may be. So you have to use vacuum in that sense, because pressure, you'd have to be putting stuff under thousands of pounds of pressure to get the same effect, basically. And so you're kind of cheating nature by putting it under vacuum. You don't have to fight atmospheric pressure. You're actually utilizing it to help what you're doing. So anyway, hopefully that kind of helped out. But I know this one was kind of short, guys, but like I said, I got a ton of stuff to do. I've been doing pretty good keeping up on inventory and all that stuff, but I still have a lot of stuff, and I actually have a big order for Turner's Warehouse as well that I need to cut up. So I'm going to get going a little early. Hopefully you guys are all going to have a wonderful Thanksgiving if you're celebrating. I don't know. Is there any questions, though, before I go? I don't want to just bone out real quick. Yeah, vacuum for silicone too, for making molds. But I will say that you don't even need that amazing, where'd that stuff go? Where'd I put it? Amazing mold maker. You really don't need to vacuum degas this. It is fast. I mean, it literally, so it's got a very fast working time too, 6 to 8 minutes, but you can take it out, demold it in 30 minutes. And you really don't need vacuum. I'm going to be making molds to sell. I'm not going to use vacuum on these things. So that's a pretty good one. And again, don't forget, guys, Alumalite's having 25% off on Friday. So, and I definitely appreciate it. If you guys use my link with Alumalite, I actually do get a referral bonus. I don't know how they can afford that, but I get a referral bonus from them. So you'll be helping the show out. It costs you nothing. You're just clicking my link and then saving 25% off. And the code that you need to enter for Friday's sale is Friday. So that's pretty simple to remember. And then don't forget, guys, I'm having tons of sales this weekend. Each day there's going to be a new super massive discount on top of, not in addition to, but in also. I'm still keeping the 15% off everything on my website is still active through the weekend, and it's going to be active until the end of November. But there's going to be other specific sale, you know, like discount things going on, one each day, starting Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday and Monday, for super discounts on certain items. So be looking for that. You know, follow my, subscribe to the email newsletter. For anybody that signs up, like right now, I'm trying to. The problem is, we're going to be switching email services. And so the list is going to one, and I got to kind of copy them over to the other one. So I apologize if anybody gets missed, but going forward, once we make the switch, everybody's going to be on that list. So just probably best to just follow my social media. That's the easiest one. There's no subscribing necessarily, just follow me. But I'll be dropping all the different deals for each day. All weekend. Turner's Warehouse is having a huge sale, 15% off on easy wood tools. I think at most, if you have like a store close to you, or if you buy something that's closer to you, a different store. But Turner's Warehouse is doing this one too. But 15% off pretty much anywhere you can get easy wood tools. I'm trying to think if anybody else is having any deals that I know of, but I mean, everybody is. So those are the ones that I know of. I hope you guys get some good deals, stock up on some stuff. Yeah, you can also put your silicone under pressure. That's actually not a bad way to go. That helps if you're going to be pressurizing your molds. That way, even if you did have an air bubble in there, it's not going to be deformed when you actually pressurize it. So that can help. That's a good point, Connie. Let's see here. Yeah, so yeah, I'm pretty busy. Okay, I don't think there was any questions. So yeah, like I said, guys, have a really happy Thanksgiving. Don't overstuff yourself. You got to pace yourself, right? So make sure if you're getting too stuffed, you go take a little bit of a walk or something like that. Do some push-ups, and then that way you have a little bit more room for that pie. Because I will run for pie. I'm actually not going to run. We're going to do a hike, but I'm going to do that for pie. Oh yeah, Spirecraft is having a sale. They're having a big one too. Good. Thanks for letting me know, Bonnie, for reminding me. all kinds of sales. So get out there, go save some cash, eat some pie and some turkey. And I will see you guys on the next stream, which again is going to be, we're going to take one of these guys and make one of those liquor stoppers with it. We're going to get a little bit of turning time in because I haven't seen the lathe. My lathe it hasn't even been on, I think, before I went to Hawaii. I don't think I've used it. So it's like, hey, I'm still here. Could you use me sometime? So we're going to do that next week. It should be pretty fun. I'm looking forward to it. And hopefully these things will stay together is the other thing, because they were very shiny and smooth, which is not a very good bond with resin. But anyway, guys, happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for joining the fun tonight. And I will see you guys all next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time for another live stream. We'll do a little bit of turning. Happy Thanksgiving.